Hello, my dear ones. I appreciate you always tuning in to our site and taking on a pretty strong program. We run a pretty good program, and I love to hear all the testimonies. It's just amazing. It's just so amazing how you guys have applied this and worked yourself back to well, Real proud of a bunch of you. Just so proud of you guys. Thanks for the 3 lovely ladies that came in for visiting. Weren't they lovely? They're from Canada. Nice ladies. And I thought afterwards that I probably should have done a little round table with them and talked with them about their journey. But I think a couple of them are fairly new to this. But it'd be nice to have some interaction so you can see other YouTubers who come in here and just off the cuff, what's your journey? How you been? Tell people how you've been doing, I like that because then it helps to verify and validate those things that you're going through. I mean, we can talk about chemistry and we can talk about the lymph system and all this, but it's a journey. It's definitely a big journey. So I wanted to, somebody's came out over the last couple of days, and this has to do with a gentleman named Dustin and a lady named Natalie. And these guys are, there are always people out there that love to stir up troubles. And this Dustin character, we're looking him up and turned him over to our attorney. But, this is the sort of stuff that you get out there. He alluded on a Facebook site that I had been charged with felonies in the past and stuff like that. No. No one has ever won over me, ever. States have tried. But when I see people like this that have no clue to what we've been through in all these years on a planet like this, these people are part of the problem on this planet, not part of the solutions. This level of ignorance only serves these people badly and keeps them tied karmatically. So you never want to do that. You never want to judge others. If you don't agree with others, then stay away from them. But to come down and insult others and say lies like this is only going to get you in trouble with our attorneys, because I do not let things stick. You get that by now, I'm sure. I address all your stuff. If you say something about me, I'm going to address it here. Or I'm going to have my attorney address it, because slander is a bad thing. And lies. It's one thing if you disagree. I don't mind disagreement. I've lived a world of disagreements. But when you lie, that's a problem. And so real problems with these people like that. So just wanted to give you all a shout out that people are out there like that. They're all over the place. They lie all the time. They have no self-worth themselves. They just, there's so many people like that on this planet. Don't be one of those. You young people too. Don't fall into in trying to smear others, because you get yourself in trouble that way. And it's not important that way. If you disagree with someone's ideas, because that's what you're on. You're on a planet that's ran by the mind, and you're ran with ideas. And so many people hang on to ideas that are totally untrue, and they fight over these. Here's a good example. I have said about the mother's nursing, and I think Dustin or Natalie said something to this effect about we tell mothers to come off of breast milk because breast milk's toxic. And this is part of the mind that doesn't listen. And there's a lot of people that just sit there and don't listen. And so then they hear stuff like that. We do highly recommend that if you're a mother and your breast milk is causing excessive mucus and you're on an omnivorous diet, it is better to supplement with a high-end organic supplement, or a blend like what we have coming out, where you have all the vitamins and minerals. And they mentioned the vitamins and minerals being deficient in coconut milk and fruit juices and stuff. That's a big mistake, Dustin. Big mistake for you to make, because that's not true. We have mother's milk compositions, of course, and we have that chart up. We teach it in our school. And you might be shocked, you two, about how deficient mother's milk, human mother's milk is. The lipid content of mother's milk is only about 3%. In a cow, it's up to 13-14%. So, a lot of people just don't understand health. They haven't had the experience. They shoot from the hip. And so you guys really want to know what you're doing. And people like this, you just have to scuff them off because they have no clue. The things that they're saying are totally untrue. But if you're a mother and your baby's getting colicky and stuff on your breast milk, you want to pull them away from that, because it is much harder to deal with a highly congested baby where you have mucus in the sinuses you filled up, you filled their lungs up full of mucus, and you filled their bronchial trunks. People like Dustin and I have no idea how you fix people like this and how you're hurting people like this. They have no idea. They're immature. And that's sometimes disgusting and can get these two in trouble. So this is sort of the thing, is that you have to be careful, because if you toxify your baby's lymphatic system up, that's the nightmare. That's the nightmare of the future. That's the tumors. These are lymphomas. This is all the inflammation, the suppression of their learning abilities, all these things like this. Yes, we do speak against that. We speak about health and vitality of infants. And if you don't understand that, I've had 40 some years working with health and infants and all that. So if you want to believe people that have no idea about health and how they work with the infants, look at where we're at. Look at the condition of our poor babies in today's world. And when you start filling them full of this mucus, here comes the fevers and cold and flu-like symptoms. Well, then here comes the aspirins and the antibiotics. And then starts a major road down to Hellville for the baby. And we will protect our babies always. Always protect our babies and make them grow up strong and awake and aware. And if Natalie or Dustin doesn't get along with that, then get off our site, get off all these sites, and go play in your field of dreams somewhere. Go play in a sandbox somewhere else. But I just want to say that continuing down that path is going to get you in some serious trouble with our legal team, because I don't take that kind of crap that you put out there like that. But it's enough to say I'm proud of each and every one of you, and getting our youngsters back in a state of wellness is important. You know, when you're nursing a baby for 2 years with mother's milk, that is way off. Way off. Even a year, you have to be real careful. And that's mothers that are doing totally raw food diets and that have cleaned themselves up a little bit, because remember, the baby becomes the mother's lymphatic system in the mom. And so you want to be real careful about how you congest and acidify your infants, because it isn't Dustin or Natalie that has to pay the price. It's the mothers and the fathers that have to pay the price for what they don't understand how to take care of the babies. And they take from these pediatricians that haven't got a clue. There isn't a pediatrician out there alive that can take the cancer out of babies, can regenerate babies' tissues or anything like that. So when people take opinions from people that have no idea what causes anything and an idea that they don't know how to cure anything, that's scary. But there's people like Dustin, and that's how the people, they live like that. You know, they're in some kind of surreal world of idiocy. I don't know. But we're in the real world of life and health and vitality, and it's exciting. I love each and every one of you. You guys are doing so well, and I'm real proud of you there. So I want to read some questions, Q&As here. Hi, I'm currently a student. Maybe this is not YouTube. Let me see here. A student at Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine in Arizona. Very familiar. I'm in the Naturopathic Society Club. We focus on bringing information to students about vitalism and making sure they leave school with a clear understanding of naturopathic principles. Well, I hope so, sweetheart, because I'll tell you this. I'm very familiar. Oh, this is Aaron. Hi, Aaron. Sorry. But I'm very familiar with Southwest. They tried real hard to get me and Jensen particularly to be on their boards, and no. If you're going to come out of naturopathic school with true understanding of naturopathy is the study and science of nature. So naturopathy looks at chemistry, physics, in the study of the chemistry of foods, the air, all the things. We study everything like that. Medical people study diseases that they fabricated. We study how the world works. We study the chemistry, the lights, the colors. We study everything. Because if you don't understand pH factors and you don't understand things like this, then you don't know what's going on in the body. You don't understand the base and acid connection and those two effects of each of those sides. And there's just a few things that we have to understand simplistically. And you want to always keep it simple. Anytime you want to get to intellectualism, then you start losing the day. because then you start arguing over theories and stuff, and it's just not worth that sort of thing. I like actuality. I want to see what works in actual practice. So we have a ton of infants that the mothers had to come off of the milks at 4 to 5 months, and we have some extremely smart and healthy babies. I think this whole idiocy and idea that mothers have to have them breastfed for a year or two is going to change here, as we learn how we're toxifying or how we're building lymph congestion in our babies. And this is the side of life you don't want to build up in our babies. I spent a lot of years in St. Joe's ER, and you see it all the time. Mothers, being a not-for-profit, the mothers coming in with their babies and, a cold and flu-like symptoms and things like this. Here's a little Tylenol, baby aspirin, here's a little antibiotic. Boom. Well, that doc just locked everything in, just shut everything down that baby was trying to eliminate, shut the fevers down, shut everything down, and now the mother doesn't know any better, so she's continuing to feed him the same way, and the baby just gets worse and worse. So the next time it's a little bronchitis, and the next time it's a little more, and the next time it's a little more. And this is the how it goes. No one is stopping and thinking. They're just thinking about treating symptoms. We were into that discussion this morning with Marcia, nitric oxide, and I think I did a video on nitric oxide, because somebody asked me how come nitric oxide is lower than in older people than in younger people, and it's like, look, you don't want to even go there with nitric oxide. Highly inflammable, highly toxic, and people are using it for sex and things like this, and it's like, excuse me, we have to become a little more civilized and those sort of things. The supplementation of nitric oxide, I'm amazed the FDA even doesn't get on this one. That's a pretty toxic event. And it's like, oh man, be careful what you fall into. Go back to nature where it's the simple fruits, berries, and melons, and the simple herbs that heal and rebuild and regenerate the body. Things like that. There's herbs for everything out there. And incredible so. And to insult the botanical kingdom would be insulting your creator. But there's some people at that level. There's some people that just are so lost. Like poor Justin, these people just get so lost that they strike out at others. Oh, they're going to call and find it. It's like, do all you want, guys. I'm very secure in my position. I've been here a long time. I've been through an awful lot. And yes, a lot of us has been through hell trying to get this information to you. The medical people have dominated this world, and therefore you get to see what it looks like. So those that buy into that, take a look around and see what the deaths are. It's astronomical. When you're the top killing of humans on the planet, and yet you call yourself a health modality, something wrong with that picture? So this is part of the problems. People have to wake up on this planet. And tearing down others that have worked hard to get the information to you to help you is not the way one should go about it. I've been so inspired by Dr. Morse's YouTube videos and would love to have him as a guest speaker for our club. I'd love that. I would definitely love that, Aaron. Would Dr. Morse be available to do a short Skype interview for the members of the club? Be happy to. Absolutely. Be happy to. Because we all as naturopaths have to get to understanding the great lymphatic system. You understand the great lymphatic system as we're teaching it, and because you're seeing them verify it as they discover the lymph systems now, you will have the key. You have the golden key. When you understand the body's lymphatic system a little bit, and you understand the need for a sewer system in the body, which Justin doesn't seem to agree with that. Doesn't seem to understand that there's sewage created, metabolitic waste created, need to come out of the body. Doesn't even seem to understand those things. So when you don't understand things at these levels that we're at, you make yourself look foolish and ignorant. It's just unbelievable. And they're out there like this. It's too bad, because there's a lot of good information for the public that we have that exposes the untruths that are out there. And you young ones want to be real careful about buying into things that are untrue. It's a big sales pitch. I remember Jesus going back and calling it the marketplace. And then that flips forward here a few thousand years, and then you've got head of the AMA telling 60 Minutes, let buyer beware with any type of problems with medical doctors. And so pretty soon you start to realize we're in the marketplace. Well, a lot of people want things free out there. They just want things free. Some lady was at our class, and she just felt that we were capitalists and that herbs were free. And I said, they are, honey. They're free. And she was a Malcolm X person and stuff, and I get with that. But if you want free stuff, then you don't ask someone else to spend their time and money making something for you and then give it to you. That's a little out there. If you want something free, you go out in the woods and pick them. That's what you do with that, because God did give it to us free. But in a world like this, very difficult to do those things. But if you can, wildcrafting is a big part of herbology and having fun out there, and wildcrafting your herbs and taking them fresh. And I always like fresh herbs. I mean, that's where it's at. But when you're in a clinical practice like this, reaching in countries that are deficient in a lot of this, and a lot of people hurting, then you can't always, have the perfect fresh herb that I just picked out in the woods for you. It just doesn't work that way. But we're still able to put a power punch in these herbs. And if people just understood that we've kept our prices so down for so many years to help people, there's just so much to all of this that people don't understand. The Justins of the world and the Natalies of the world, they have no clue. They probably travel and stay at other people's houses. It's just like, I was raised to be self-sufficient. I was raised to make my own way in life and not depend upon others. I was raised to be strong as an individual. And that's why all our children should be strong as individuals. And we got a lot of great opportunities coming in herb farming and herb work and herb labs and healers and stuff like that that'll actually have a spin of helping people and helping people regenerate themselves. And that's what it's about, getting that suffering out of this matrix. So then we can bring it up just a little higher. And we get out of this so warring of a planet, and we just bring it up a little bit. Let me see. Oh, okay, I'll talk to you, Beatrice. Let me see. A lot of people put some stuff here. Here it is. Johan, I'm wondering if you can talk a little about the big thing that's coming, plus my feeling about wanting to break the system once and for all. It's like I'm preparing myself for a big fight, and that my whole life has been about that. Interesting. Me too. I don't know what to tell you. Let me finish this. Nothing else really matters except that huge calling. I'm preparing myself with fruits, herbs, and letting go of everything to get to that freedom I once had. This really, Johan, this is right on. You're right on with this. And I think a lot of us are feeling that battle coming, because this battle isn't just physical. You have to understand, you have a mind that exists in the mental worlds, and you have an emotional body that exists in the astral worlds. And this war is on all these levels, because this in the physical world is just a body, just an electrical / chemical body. And so the consciousness isn't the body. The consciousness is the soul, is the awareness of the individual. However, each atom has awareness to it. Each atom, each compound, it's just amazing. It's all part of this massive consciousness that divides itself in duality and plays the game of opposites. And when you understand that and you pull back from the mind, then you start freeing yourself from that. But the battle's at hand, because at all sort of levels. And I know a lot of you don't want to hear, but we do have a lot of different beings on this planet. And some of you are very aware of this. Some of you even told me about this. And Deepak Chopra, very aware of all this. There's people that are very aware. They don't always talk about it, but very aware of it. And so it's enough to say that be strong. This is the time, and I teach it in my classes, this is the time to man and woman up. This is the time to be strong in yourself. Not aggressive on others. Be strong in yourself. Be true to yourself. Be awake. Because people are just like this Dustin and this lady. They're just walk-ins. They're just people you can walk in and out of their consciousness. There's nothing there. So this is part of the problem, that we have to be careful and watch ourselves, because that's when you get walk-ins. That's when you get visitors and stuff like this. And it's like a lot going on here in this planet, and I do believe you're going to see a lot more destruction before you see some positiveness. We're bringing the light in, that's for sure. All you guys, so there's a whole big movement on our side that's just gorgeous, just beautiful. I love to see that. And this is the only way you can counteract the negative. So many people are so lost in their minds that they're following this idiocy of the mind, and you can't do that. It causes like these two people here to say things that they'll regret. It's just like these are things that you have to be careful with. But this is the sort of thing that the negative forces uses, and it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger, and we'll be attacked because it's just the nature of the beast. I've been attacked by states, of course, and stuff like that. They didn't want health, but you have to understand that if you want any awareness at all, it's a battle, because this is social consciousness down here, and if you want to uplift the consciousness, it's always a battle. Go back to the Vietnam War and that level of thinking, where at Kent State, this one girl was shot by our own soldiers, of course, but was shot, and she ended up in the hospital. She was on the news a little bit, and when she got home, her dad said, "I saw you on the news." He said, "They should have killed you." And I go back to that, and I'm going, what? That's how locked some souls are here in the drama. And they're so locked, they're so unconscious, that their worlds are so small. And we don't have to live in those worlds. And we are bringing such a light and a power to this planet that'll supersede these souls, and they'll either awaken or burn and continue to go down their road. But you're right, I don't always see, I'm not always a seer, but I'm a feeler too. And that's, you can feel it coming. Even, like I said, the Hopi elders, the Sioux elders. I mean, when these elders came out and said, I have that information, maybe I'll put it up on the website sometime for you if you're interested in that, but about within a short period of time, months, the Sioux and the Hopi elders both came out individually and spoke about the fact that their elders have been teaching them, passing it down through time to bring it out at this particular moment, and that man has corrupted the earth so bad that it needs to cycle through detoxification, and man might have a little problem with that. So I don't know. It's enough to say that if you look at Nostradamus and you look at the Bible, and then they found part of the Bible with all the letters and numbers that spells out people's names and everything. Pretty interesting stuff when you take a look at all that. And I see all the spiritual beings coming to this planet. So yeah, big things are changing. But I also see a lot of upliftment. Look at what some of you guys are doing to yourselves and pulling yourselves out of these things. It's amazing. Beautiful work. And I know some have been working on it hard. But look at what you've got now. Just look at what you got. It's just amazing. Once I feel pretty hectic, though, about this cause. I do not want to miss the flight home. I don't really belong here. Well, I'll have to say, my dear one, that we all don't belong here. This is the drama. This is the stage, and a very low stage. And this is where the movies played out. This is where the drama is. And the drama queens. This is where it all is. And we are only looking into and enjoying the world of activity, of duality. And sometimes it's painful and sometimes it's not. Once we pull away from that and pull away from the body, we're free from that. So the best way to get free in this lifetime is stop creating. Don't want anything anymore. And you'll be amazed how God has everything prepared for you, and everything will be at your feet. Amazing. And all you have to do is just open your consciousness and get out of the mind. If you want to get out of these lower worlds, don't create more activity. Because there's a little law that says you create everything you do. I mean, it is the law that medical doctors need to learn, that all these people need to learn, and that is cause and effect. Cause and effect. Very, very important lesson. And that's what we have to understand. In understanding cause and effect, if you want out of here, don't create more cause and effect. Let it all just work itself out. Sit back, be the channel or the beauty or be the consciousness that you already are, and just let life work itself out with you. It'll take you, it'll open up things for you more than you can even imagine. You now letting go, and you are now observing God working through you. And it has a better way to do it now. And now you become the conscious dreamer in this world. But if you want freedom, then you don't want to create anymore. Learn how to stop thinking and stop desiring. It's one thing to go buy something if you need it, da-da-da-da-da. Don't let anything stick. Don't let your material objects own you. Be able to buy you a new car one day and turn away from the next and say, you know what, I like that one over there. I mean, don't let anything own you. Because as long as you let all these little pieces that you've created own you, then you're less of consciousness. And so, who cares about material things? Here today, gone tomorrow. Who cares? Doesn't matter anymore. Things just are built one day and fall apart the next. What's real is you. That's what's real, is each and every one of you, deep within yourself. That's what's real, not your physical body. That's not real. That's an atom rearrangement game. We arrange atoms to make this body. We arrange atoms to get this body. We play Lego games here. So where do you think all these ideas came up with Tinker Toys and Lego sets and log homes and these things like that we all grew up with? I didn't grow up with Legos, but that was way after my time. But there's always been these erector sets and things like that where you create. And that's the nature of God. It's constantly creating and expanding and creating and expanding. If anything gets in its way, it blows it apart. It keeps going. Those things that are weak, it destroys. And it's just, you just have to look at that and really get with how nature is and why it is that way. And then kind of align yourself with that. But that's a really good question. I'm about to tell you, but for you spiritual people out there, if you want to be free, quit creating here. It's a lot more fun to be free from creating than be creating. You'll see what I mean, because you see so much more and you're in a place of freedom and ecstasy and joy. And there's nothing like that. It takes a while to work that and to get yourself not thinking, because you have to get dressed. I had a friend once and he said, I'm just going to get all white robes in my closet. That way I won't even have to get up and think what I need to wear. I said, you know what, just getting up and thinking you have to put something on is a thought. So you have to just learn how to separate yourself from your thoughts. You can still be in the now and still think, but you can be observant to your thinking processes. It takes a little work, a little playing with that. But why not work yourself in areas of getting away from this instead of areas of pulling yourself back into it? You know, this is, you're the one that has to experience these levels. And they're more fun if you're detached. Review that movie of Michael with John Travolta and look at the detachment as an angel that he had. Didn't care. And that's the point. This is just creation. You come to play. Some play isn't so fun, you know, and some play is really devastating, and yet some play is very, very fun. So, I don't know. Beatrice, hi, my dear. To the great man, oh, thank you, sweetheart. I just wanted to thank you for your personal answer to our YouTube, oh, thanks, honey, about our daughter's ocean skin issue. Ocean. What a beautiful name. I love that name, Ocean. Boy, that gives an unlimited perspective of this little being. From the bottom of our hearts, it was amazing. Well, I think I did a personal video to you, right? Yeah. I am absolutely getting the whole concept of the lymphatic system. Vital that we do. Vital that we do. And remember, they keep finding new parts of this. So I think it can be exciting for their field if they're going to try and maintain that field, because like Discover Channel said, it's going to make them rewrite all the medical books. And then the other questions come in. This is a lot more acid waste now. What is the body doing with all these acid wastes? And it can't be venous dumping, because that's idiocy. So now it begs to look at the eliminative organs. Isn't that interesting? Because, you know, in a conditioned state that man is in, it's simply about ideas that are already conditioned. So to get away and discover new areas, you have to do it from consciousness. You can't do it from an already mind that's conditioned, because then your results are conditioned viewing. And you're not viewing true results, and you're not putting that totality picture together. In biochemistry, you have to start from the chemistry of the ingested foods and all the way through that process. How bases lose their electrons to bring balance to or neutralize the acids. You know, that understanding all this, but also understanding there is a saturation point, and it's that keeps chemistry in balance. So there's so many things that biochemistry and chemistry needs to look at to help them understand more of what they're thinking life is. So it's just understanding. Don't put too much of your consciousness into science. Pull back and take a look at what we know is true in science and how that applies to what we know is true in health. And then it starts making sense. Then you're not working with the conditioned mind, because you're actually looking at actuality, things that are in motion that work. It makes complete sense. I am infinitely dedicated to this cause, to transforming myself and then helping others. Thank you, Beatrice. This is important to get that too, because once you do, it simplifies the whole world. You think God put us there to be complicated and have all this medical jargon that no one understands and all that? No. That's part of this elitist narcissism that those souls have to work through. We have our karma to work through. They have their karma to work. Everybody has their karma to work through. But it is important to understand that, you have to be careful in the treatment concepts, period. And that just gets you into more trouble. You have to ask cause and effect. What's causing this problem? What system is this? And the problem, without an understanding of a little acid and base and a sewer system and a little bit of that, it's hard to look at that. It really is. Normally we'd just be eating fruits and berries and melons, not even thinking about it, and using herbs if we got a little sick or something. But no, the humans are in a mess, big time, and I mean in a serious genetic mess. And so the only way is this level of thinking and using the herbs to regenerate tissue, things like this. This world needs this level drastically. And if some doesn't understand it, they just have to then go out and get other experiences until they're ready to understand it. Each are different levels. And some people come screaming and hollering, don't they? But beautiful, Beatrice, and definitely. But work on ocean skin. There's so much skin problems, but you have to realize that, the skin is an eliminative organ. These aren't diseases. We're not plagued like that. We create. And that's the most important spiritual thing we can look at, is we're creating this problem. Thank you for helping me to understand how I'm creating this. That's a blessing I have for all the books I read, like Arnold Ehret and N.W. Walker. I read all these people, of course. Books after books after books. I've read libraries of books. And, I learned how I had to pull back and understand how I feel about this and my experience in conjunction with what I was reading. Because a lot of the authors, some of what they say is good and some not so good. So you just weed out what's not for you and take what's for you. That's all this is just for you. And what you can handle and where you're at, and if you're awake enough to handle higher truths or not, that sort of thing. But if you look at the world right now, it's not a really happy place and needs to become one. And you can't infuse it with more mind, because that's the problem. You have to infuse it with love and spirituality. See? Yeah, when you have problems with our way of thinking, then all you have to do is either get away from us or then challenge our way of thinking. I don't mind any of you asking me about milk drinking for infants and things like this. No, not at all. Because when you tout nutrition, take a look at mother's milk and the lack of nutrition that mother's milk has. And if you don't know the composition of mother's milk like Dustin didn't, and then he's ranting and raving how we need all these vitamins and minerals that I guess that all these fruits and berries and melons and coconuts don't give you. See, the problem is with our mother's milk formula, I had to keep cutting it down and cutting it down and cutting it down. Not building it up, cutting it down. Because mother's milk is very deficient. Humans' mother's milk is very low in things. But we're talking about little bitty babies that are 6 to 12 sometimes, pounders. When we're talking about baby calves and baby goats, we're at a different poundage, aren't we? Thank you. So you're looking at different species and at a whole level of differences in consciousness. So a lot of this is not even being considered in the allopathic thought of how you raise kids. Take a look at our kids and how much trouble they're in following the allopathic thinking. Can't do that anymore. It's a mess. And so we have to turn around that mess. All right? So thank you, Beatrice. Love you. Thanks, honey. And if I can help mothers turn on like this and help their kids get well, it's just so beautiful, because so many kids are suffering like ocean with the skin problems. It's all over the place. And I see it all over the news, and all these cystic acne and all this pimples and stuff like that, and then all these psoriasis stuff. It's a nightmare. Very, very, very fixable. And you want to fix it because this is the lymphatic system. And this is lymphomas. This system takes no prisoners. And just because a lot of people don't understand it doesn't mean we don't. Different people understand at different levels, and we have to give homage to that. You know, some of my spiritual beings that I work with, they understand things a lot deeper than I do. I don't judge them on that. It's like, oh, what do you know? You know, I love people that have a wisdom and awareness of levels that we're not privy to, because look at the stuff that we can learn about higher things. We're still wallowing on this planet a little bit like ostriches, you know. All right, has anyone studied the chemical makeup of sediment in the urine from people who are filtering versus those who aren't? Well, not really. And it would be nice to take it in. Any of you guys can take it into a lab and have them look at it anytime you want. We've had urine analyzed, of course, and then we get urinalysis all the time, which isn't real complete, you know, but still you get to see what's in there in terms of blood or immune cells or things like that, which generally you would see when you have problems in the body. And so, yeah, you can see a little bit what's in the urine that way. But when you see all this sediment, those are good acids. So, yeah, have fun doing that, for sure. Years ago, I had some, and I don't remember. We only have a little state lab here in this town. And generally, they're for water purposes, you know. So we have a problem finding good labs too, but you guys have at it and have fun doing it. Absolutely. And comparatively, it'd be fun because some of the stuff that's coming out, wow, massive stuff, you know. You'll see proteins, of course, some of your oxy groups. You'll see different groups coming out, definitely. I know you don't recommend getting lost in intellectualism, but it may, I like it. I know, but you know what? I do like information, so I teach this to free you guys, but when it comes down to the bottom line, Marcy and Attila are the same way. We like information. We do. So I do like intellectualism to a certain point. When it becomes narcissism, though, that's when you break off and you got too much. It's important to use the mind. That's how you navigate here. It's difficult the more now you work to navigate and remember things. That's for sure. But at the same time, I have no problem with information, good information. And that's what we're looking for, is good information. So yeah, I love labs that look up things. There's so many, that's what we were just talking this morning with Marcy. We would like to have a lab of our own. So one of these days, you know, we all get together enough, we'll have our own lab. Because we got a lot of questions, so many questions about chemistry and stuff that they need to discover. So it's exciting stuff. Oh yeah, no, I like this. Oh yeah. Mummufucca. Ooh, that's a different way of pronouncing it or spelling it. Oh no, I like that. I like that. Anytime we can have information, because the more information we have about stuff like that, we can show the public. Now look at all these acids and metabolitic byproducts in your urine. Yeah, you know, good stuff, absolutely. I'm all for all of that. I'm not for hiding nothing. As you see, we're about opening up the world to this, so we're not hiding nothing. I have nothing to hide at all. I don't have nothing to hide in my previous education. I have nothing to hide in anything. You know, you have to walk in our shoes if you're a natural healer to understand what we've been through. And Dr. Jensen, even worse. He always had people that didn't like him or had a bad thing for him. And just, he would tell me nightmare stories. And it's just, that's what's out there. But these are lost souls that are channels for the negative forces. Like Dustin and Nana, they set themselves up for channels for the negative forces. And as long as they do that, they're going to get walk-ins. They could get all kinds of problems. And it's like, nah, guys, you'd be better served if you just got away from it. If you don't buy into it, do whatever you want. But trying to demean us is not how you do it. You know, if you have disagreement, show up some evidence. Stefan, hi, I have a few questions. What do you think of all the fast starch or insulin kick from your melons and grapes? I think if you get an insulin kick, hang in there and keep riding it. Keep riding a fruit and berry and melon diet on a type 1. I take it you're a type 1. And so if you're going to do that, I would ride with that and get through glucose loading or glycogen breakdowns and get through all that and watch, because it doesn't take long to balance out that. we've done this over and over and over and over again. Now, you might be some brittles out there that are a little brittle with that. You might see a little bump with that. But all in all, if you're dealing with insulin or metabolitic problems with blood sugars, it's obvious you're going to swing to the simple side of sugars. And you can't eliminate sugars because that would cause you death. So you can't eliminate carbohydrates. That is the essential energetic food for most species. And elimination of a carbohydrate would mean death. You can't, proteins are not used for energetic factors. And so that's why they're the less on the scale. They're under carbohydrate usage. Our predominant food is carbohydrate, and look at mother's milk to prove that. The carbohydrate level of human mother's milk is up there, I think, around 7%. Protein is below 1%, and lipids around 3%. Well, the only milk even close to that is baboon or primate milk, which they have a little more lipids. I think they have a 4% lipid base. Now again, these are from unhealthy human mothers that these statistics come from. The ash, or the nutritional side of mother's milk, is so low it's not even funny. So, what the mother consumes, of course, is important to get to the baby. So the raw foods are vital to that. But when you're eating all these raw foods full of this nutrition, and yet mother's milk isn't changing too much in regard to that, interesting stuff. There's a lot of fun research that can be done with mother's milk. Raw food mothers, you know what I'd like to see is a raw food mother that has cleaned their lymph systems up really well. Especially more on the fruitarian side. I'd love to see what their milk chemistry composition is compared to, let's say, someone that has a standard American diet or standard worldly diet. It'd be interesting to see the difference in the composition of the milks. And then, of course, you have malabsorption factors to consider. You have all these other cofactors to consider in terms of looking at mother's milk. So when people come out there and they come lambasting this milk is all this powerful stuff. No, it isn't. And you have to understand that milk and its proteins have to be in harmony with the species. So when you get into cow's milk, goat's milk, these proteins are out of harmony and creates an immune response called mucus. So when you get enough mucus, then you have allergies. And then when you have allergies, you start suppressing the lymphatic system. That's what they do. And then you keep filling it up. And then you get allergic to this thing, that thing. Pretty soon you're allergic to everything. And it's simply your lymphatic system that's the problem. Clean it up, fix it up, and you're in good shape. These are good questions, guys. But anyway, keep writing with that, because simple sugars are really key, and fructose does not require insulin, and you'll prove it to yourself if you keep going on that. Marcy, matter of fact, maybe I'll turn this over to her and let her address it to you as well. She, when she stays on her just fruits, that's she's down to almost zit. And we've done this over and over again. Matter of fact, we had an Amish healer pulling this right and left in Amish community on type 1s, putting them all on fruit, and it'd be the only way they stabilize their blood sugars. So I don't know what to say about that. If you don't stabilize, then keep working with it. It'll definitely be a lot lower, and you just keep working with it, and you keep working with your insulin levels to lower, using the least amount possible, realizing that insulin is a hormone, and that by consuming it at these levels can make the beta cells stop producing it. So, I mean, just be smart about all that. And work with that, or have your medical doctor work with that if they're willing to. You know, we're not opposed to working with medical community at all. It's them that are opposed to working with us. And if you're going to work with us, then you have to have a little, niceness to you. What's your protein source? Is that what you're saying? What's your protein source? My protein source, I hope, is none. Although I cheat a little here and there, of course. I get a little nut here, a little bean there, but hope none. Because remember, proteins are unavailable to the human body until they're broken down into what? Amino acids. So you've got the stomach kind. We were just talking about that this morning again, how another good reason why the human being is not a protein eater is the low hydrochloric acid really in a Homo sapien versus that of an omnivore. And the fact that when you get down around 2 pH or a little below in the stomach, a few inches down, you have to get that all the way up to 7.5 to 8. Or you don't have any digestion going on well at all. You're not activating digestive enzymes. So for a human, in their I don't know what the duodenal pH is supposed to be of an omnivore. I have no clue. But I can tell you in a herbivore and a frugivore, it's going to be about the same. Because to activate proper enzymatic action, amylase, tylen, you had to be up in the 7.5 to 8s. And believe it or not, it's also with trypsin and chymotrypsin, and they're involved in breaking down the polys and to the peptides to the amino acids. So it's just only the hydrochloric acid is involved in ripping the protein apart. Well, when you understand that, then why would you eat a protein if your body can't use it? Why would you think that it's some big important thing to have in your body when it's an acid hit? The body can't use a protein. The body requires some amino acids. But why would you think that? And that's part of the problem, especially when you want health and vitality. The complex amino acid source is highly acidic. And that's a lot more nitrogen, phosphorus, all the things that counterbalance sodium, potassium, and particularly the twin sisters of calcium and magnesium. You know, you start bringing up phosphorus, guess who's going to be going bye-bye? The twin sisters, Cal, Meg. And so either way you look at that. If you go too high with the electrolytes, we were talking about that in terms of getting these alkaline waters way up there, you can hurt yourself with, again, leaching phosphorus out of matrix as opposed to calcium. You know, you've got the twins, you got this rhythm of the twins, acid and base, and these two have to be, ionized properly and reach saturation properly. And that's more than the average person can understand, nor more than actually chemists can understand, in my opinion. I have had a lot of chemists come to me in trouble, and what I see is a big lack of understanding of the chemical world and the interactions of diets and things like that. So I don't know, it's just what I see. How do I get protein if I'm working out at a gym? Best Stefan from Sweden. You know you want to pump amino acids if you're working at the gym. We have a new muscle building form. It's called Muscles by Nature. And I'm building this for Anton and Mr. Olympia, and what we call Mr. Olympia, and a couple of the other guys there. I'm building them for all bodybuilders and people that want to work out, that want to maintain a base balanced chemistry, but with a higher level of amino acids. And that's what we're looking for. You don't want an acidic product when you're building muscles, because when you acidify your body, you just lost all your factors of health. So you're putting on, you're forcing bulk muscles, and let me tell you, in that process, you're breaking down your kidneys, you're breaking down your bowels, you're breaking down all the body in acidosis just to look ripped. And that's okay, but it's you that suffer. It's the individual that suffers just to trying to look good and stuff. You can look good and still be all raw, you know. You know, Alan, I show you his picture a lot. And you can look ripped and be healthy ripped and have the flexibility. We talked this before. I'm a martial arts person, so I like the flexibility and I like the quiet mind to perceive the moves. So there's a lot of levels that are fun in this you can get into. But if you're going to work at the gym, I would detoxify slowly. I wouldn't even think about detoxification too much if that's your goal, is to just have a ripped body. In that way, I would pump green juices big time, and I would pump alfalfa like it's no tomorrow. I've got alfalfa juice powdered. I did add Corella in there for them, but I generally don't do that. But I've added a royal jelly, some real power hogs in there in terms of chemistry. Hard to get more chemistry than this in nature. Matter of fact, nobody gets more chemistry than this. All the superfoods. At a point, too much chemistry then becomes a problem. You know, even beneficial chemistry. You know, more is not better. From Justin or any of these other people, more is not better in any way of the imagination. You would be better suited to understand the species that the Homo sapien is at. Look at the primates, comparative species pretty much, and look at that as opposed to crossing species like, well, cats are eating proteins. Yeah, well, they're a carnivore. Well, the omnivores eat not much. When you really look at omnivores, not much. Dogs more than anything. But now you're looking at this good dog food coming full of veggies. And veggies are actually least available than fruits to omnivores because omnivores have a smaller bowel than we. Anyone with a smaller or shorter GI tract than us has a harder time with vegetables. Vegetables are long, extensive digestive processes. Look at the design of a herbivore. Look at the design of an elephant or horse. And look at how much they eat compared to a silverback. Silverback doesn't eat that much compared to a horse who's always grazing. Just things to think about, That's what I would do. But here's the problem. As soon as you start eating raw, I don't care if you just went on a lot of fruit for breakfast and you had salads and everything for the afternoon, you're still going to start detoxing. You cannot stop your body from wanting to be well and healthy. So go slow. Go real slow with that and pump up with the greens and the amino acids in that way. What about cold food? Store match all the time. I don't understand what that means. Cold food. I think there's a misconception with cold food because you have cold food to keep you warm. Cold food can't keep you warm. That's not true. Cold food hasn't anything to do with keeping you warm. That's a thyroid issue. That's the rate of metabolism. When you're looking at cold food, you're looking at base dominant food, but your body is base dominant. You actually, if you're going to use the word cold, you have to apply that to your body because your body is a base dominant body, not overly base dominant. That's important to understand, but it is base dominant. And so that means that on the colder side, you're healthier. So when you look at, you have to also take in consideration your environmental influences. So when you go down to the tropics, you're in an acidic zone, and the foods are base dominant. So when you're looking at this, if you're suggesting cold, that would be consuming cold food in the winter up north. Well, if you're living up north and you're in trouble, then you can't get around it. There's nothing else. Warm up with something else, herbal teas or blankets. But your dietary nutritive mix for the Homo sapien is a base dominant food. You have to have a base dominant, meaning an alkaline dominant diet. Where the pHs are not above or somewhere in the 8 range. Or you change that blood, you influence the blood viscosity, pH, all of that, and nothing ever good comes of that. So there's a lot of reasons to look at these things. But I get where people are cold, but the reality is people are cold for a lot of reasons. If you're on a detoxification diet and you're in cold countries, you're going to be cold without fat. This is why people who live in Canada and especially up further, up in Alaska and stuff, they eat a lot of fat and blubber. Because it isn't the protein that keeps them warm. It could, but it's the fat that gets you on there, insulates and keeps you warm. So that's difficult because ketosis can result with that, another form of acidosis. And so you got to be real careful. Man wasn't meant to live in these hostile environments. We do, and people love it. But for those few, have some greenhouses. I know there's that one Alaska guy that has growing an orange tree in a greenhouse way up in Alaska. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful done. Hand done by a young girl, 10 years old, I think. Beautifully done, beautifully done. Let me see, I've got a world of questions here. So many here, guys. Oh man. All right. Hi, Doc. This is, that's a tough word for me to pronounce, so I'm just going to spell it. Mummufucca. I apologize, my friend. Don't know how to pronounce that. Well, thanks for being here, and everywhere, always willing to heal everyone. Such a total achievement. Oh, thanks, man. Thanks. I could always use good blessings. Thanks a lot. Some other people don't appreciate it, of course, but then there is those that are immature, those that want to tear down others, those that don't get things, and it's just sickening, They don't understand the fight we've been in just to bring purity and love to this planet. The battles and stuff like that. It's terrible stuff. Bless you, my friend. Now, I have just a few questions that might not necessarily require the same amount of responses. Okay, that's why I trust you and your synthesis ability. This world needs more of this kind of pills, not the same old crap they're constantly selling in a white and clean fashion and brand new names. I agree totally. Holy moly, that's simply pathetic. So feel free to take all the time you need to answer, but hell, you can just express an immediate spiritual silence as well. Sure, I'll enjoy watching your body reaction, telling almost everything. Okay. All right. These are the points. Okay. Considering it from a very large perspective and knowing about the absolute classification of these things we humans use to call alkaloids, what's your idea about their role in biology and evolution and mutation of organisms? Well, I think alkaloids are very much like tannins. You know, alkaloids have always been a little hard on the liver, and tannins, of course, very hard on the kidneys and bladder. So I was a little addicted to sweet tea, but these tannins ripped my kidneys and bladder badly. And alkaloids can rip the liver badly and things. But in plants, as a rule, almost all plants have a form of alkaloids in them. And they're hitchhiking with other things. And I think the real problem comes in, my friend, when we extract alkaloids and use them in the treatment with pharmaceuticals. You know, that's where you really extract the buffers and things. In nature, when you're eating a food that has licorice and stuff like this, these alkaloids don't hurt you. Comfrey, they've tried to shut down comfrey because the alkaloids in comfrey, yet comfrey leaf. You'll find more in your roots, of course, and you could argue the roots maybe are the less desirable of a plant for humans. But when you get in trouble, some of the roots, burdock root is an incredible root. All the barbarous families are roots pretty much. They're incredible for liver. When you get into the roots, you're more into the GI tract, the liver, the pancreas, that sort of thing. And when you research them, that's what they're all good for. And so, I don't know what to say about that, other than that. Alkaloids can be a real terror, and so can tannins. But so can any chemistry. Look at arsenic by itself. Anytime you start breaking down buffering bonds and synergistic bonds that make that part of chemistry nutritive, then you start creating isolates. And that's when you get the real hits, is when you break these down into isolates. In terms of the idea of alkaloids and things like that, I think they are more hepatic. More hepatic about overstimulation of these tissues, like anything else, of course. What's your idea about their role in? It's interesting to note that some of them are some sort of nutrition that can be toxic at the same time. Well, I think that goes into, again, the synergistic action that they hold with their counterparts, their brethren. When we're eating a fruit, it's like each one of us individually, we all come together. All together, we're the piece of fruit. And so when we start tearing us apart from that, then we each can act individually, has a more detrimental effect on the whole as opposed to acting as a whole. So, in that way, I suppose. I don't run across alkaloid problems, to tell you the honest truth. I don't work in that field too much because I do use comfrey and licorice a lot. Love them. Love them. And if you're running low blood pressure and you're going out with it, you want licorice root bad, because that'll get your blood pressure up quick, better than glandulars. So licorice is vital in herbology and in the world of acts as natural cortisol, regulating blood sugars. It has all kinds of good stuff. So there's a lot of good stuff here for people in that. But I think that, like you say, when you get into chemistry and stuff, and they get into alkaloids and isolates like this, and they're doing their lab work, and they see alkaloids having an effect on this, they're using the alkaloids as an isolate. That's how I feel about it. I think synergistically, everything has a level of conscious to it that's set in the matrix of that expression, whether it's a fruit, a berry, a melon, a plant, or whatever. And in that expression, that is a nutritive. And however way that works in the human body that way, to look at all that is gigantic to me, because we have to start with a new lab and a new awareness and how we trace these things out, instead of where we are now in biochemistry with so many theories. It's just not good, my opinion. But I think any chemistry can be toxic to you. Vitamin A, good example. Gerson was recommending 100,000 units of A and 100,000 units of beta carotene in their cancer protocols. Well, I've always held that to be way toxic. Oils are toxic, and you get way out there in individual oils, and you can get up into some toxicity ranges. So I actually agreed with the FDA on that one. I just thought that was a wrong move to try to, because when you understand the lymphatic system as we teach it here, and you guys are getting that, things become less of a mystery anymore. You start to see the real problems. And as a rule, the only where you're going to be concerned with alkaloids would be in the herbal side of that. But your vegetables are very much herbs. And so then you're more in your roots and tubers and barks and stuff like that, maybe. Let me see here. Unique properties from this, both physical and emotionally and spiritually. Exactly. See, and that's where I have... I've been privy. They've showed me some things, so I'm up to speed on plants on this planet and stuff like this to a certain extent. But I think that for me, I'm here more to awaken and to help people out of suffering, as opposed to get too lost in this sort of world. I had my years of that where I just would pore over all the books and just dig into it. But I put all that aside years ago when I realized I was becoming an intellectual hound. And I was getting confused because I was a fruitarian years before that, and everything just fit. It just made sense. It fit. I felt good. And then I opened up health food stores. And then come the mind. Oh, yogurt. Oh, look, it's got beneficial bacteria. It really has a bacteria for itself. Let's face it. Lactobacillus bifidus. We don't have to supplement those. Look at that. And then, put a lot of fruit in it. It's healthy. So, Columbia yogurt, Dannon yogurt. I sold different yogurts in the health food store, raw milk yogurts. I got into raw milk a little bit, raw milk cheeses, and it's like, it's good for you, right? It's raw. So I come through a stiff learning curve because I felt like I undo all the years that I did fruitarian and stuff. I felt like I almost undid them by going and eating healthy nuts, grains, whole grains. And then when I became friends of Jensen, we had a lot of talk about that because he fell into the same thing. Whole grains, raw milk, cheeses. I mean, that was the day. Carrot juice fast and stuff like that. Well, I hope that I'm teaching you a much higher level of thinking because we didn't go very far in those earlier years with that. I mean, there was some incredible cases that we cleaned up, but nothing like what we're doing now. And you have to understand that growth and awareness sometimes breeds simplicity, not more intellectualism. More intellectualism just takes you down the world of being lost more and more and more. Very unorthodox behavior from these compounds. Yeah, well, you always have your radical components, I suppose, but when you lose your buffering friends, you can be a lot more radical, like arsenic. There are a lot of things like that, cyanide and apple seeds and stuff like that, guys. So, I mean, you start compounding those little puppies, and they're not too friendly either. But in their proper ratioed perspective, they have a nutritive hit. Just because we don't understand where that nutritive hit is, that's part of the problem in this gigantic, it's almost as if God says, so you think you understand me? All right, look at this. And it's just like every level we expose becomes deeper in its intricacies and its infiniteness, and it's like now there's no more Big Bang Theory. There's so many galaxies that they're full of stuff. Okay, there's no beginning and no ending. There's nothing else we can say about the universe. It's so massive. So I think really to the point is we need some good labs and some good research in the future, and I'm hoping if Discovery Channel comes aboard in any way that will excite them to take a look at some of these things, and just excitement after excitement, because we can prove that we can regenerate you at levels that are just shockingly decrepit. We can regenerate you, and that goes a long way in understanding. So now what we have to understand is explain that in the world of chemistry and alkaloids and things like this, and that's a hard chew, because we can't even explain how we are treating diseases and killing all these people in chemistry. They can't. They don't even understand how their chemistry is killing all these people. So you see where we are? I wouldn't worry about it myself. It might be a cop-out thought, but I'm not into so much of that sort of thing. and deep relationship with the neurotransmitters and precursors. In addition to all the bunch of things we know about that from different scientific points of view. Pretty pointless, especially from the neurological side. Yeah, I mean, there's a certain realm there that I wouldn't get into, like the precursors and the production of neurotransmitters and that sort of thing, because Jesus, when you're sitting down talking to your clients, it might be good verbiage here, I like to know, but when you're sitting down with your clients, if your brain is too crammed, you'll sit there and not know what you're going to say to them because you have too much upstairs. I remember my first appointment, I didn't know what to say to her. She lost all her fingernails doing a detox in the Bahamas. She just went from a New York City diet to a fruitarian diet. And of course, remember when you start detoxifying, those things that are weak can leave you, including your hair. Teeth can loosen up. Yeah, remember nature. Nature doesn't stand for weaknesses. So, you got to consider these things, of course. This is why in detox we say, sometimes slow up a little bit. Because nature wants to get rid of the things that are hindering it from expressing itself at greater levels. And humans have hindered that expression considerably. But I get what you're saying here, absolutely. But I'm like you. I like to toss things around. We chew on some intellectualism, Marcia and Attila and me. We love that stuff. Just we're looking to prove everything we do. We know we did it. Now we want to be able to explain it to you the best way we can in scientific terms. But again, when you're in a world of extreme theories, in a world where they don't understand chemistry, in a world where they're making toxic substances that have fatal events as high up on the totem pole, where they're maiming and hurting so many people, like the Accutane people, when you're doing it at this level, where millions and millions of people are being killed and maimed worldwide, there's a serious problem with this. And so we have to change. So then I think it's where we merge scientifically with that. Because it doesn't matter scientifically anymore. We're so hurting as a species, we're going with what works. Then we try to explain with what works through chemistry as much as I can, I don't get much below subatomic levels of explanations. I don't get much below the colloid science and the science of colloids, of course, and the electrolytes and protons and electrons and protons, that sort of thing. I don't get into the nano, sub-nano. I think these are levels man can't even go there and understand at all. And if you don't understand the influences of the inorganic chemistry, as I like to look at it, how are you going to understand the world of nano levels? So I think we have to shelf some things for a while, get people healthy. For those that are willing to look at labs and look at things that we're doing, absolutely, look how we do those things, how we increase the medulla of the adrenal glands, increasing the production of neurotransmitters, and the production of neurotransmitters out of the chemistry of what one's being consumed. Yeah, all of that. How would you start explicitating? If you ever wanted to, I think that we can understand a bit more if we approach from a non-dual and strictly biological chemistry way, the way you usually do, I guess. Well, here's the thing. A non-dual reality is a reality of one. That's pure consciousness. The dual reality is chemistry and physics. And that's the dual reality. When you pull away from the dual reality, chemistry and physics merge and become pure energy, which then merges and becomes pure awareness, which is pure consciousness. As we move out from pure consciousness, everything then fractionalizes and becomes dualistic in nature. And then as it takes on its different components, it takes on different shapes, different sizes, different forms, and then you have different things to look at. Everything is based upon that. So pulling away from dual reality is pulling yourself back into the single reality of the all. You can look at it that way, or there's a lot of people that look at dimensions. You have a 3-dimensional reality, 5-dimensional reality, you have all those. But it's easier to look at it as dual single reality. And it's just easier for one to, and simple for one to, because the simplicity of consciousness is that it's already present, ever present. The complexity is how it manifests in duality and fractionalizes itself through magnetics first, physics, energy first, and then into the physical world, into isolates of chemistry. of elements and things like that. So it's just amazing. It's just amazing to explain it from that level going down. You know, how thought in its energeticness creates energy of movement. And of course, thought moves energy and creates form. Well, then emotions, of course, drives form, drives thought, the desire of that which is, that's the active principle. And then in the physical body, of course, there's really just chemical processes and neurological processes. The awareness comes through the consciousness, seeps through all the body, seeps through all the chemistry, and seeps through all the atoms. So it's a big thing. We teach it in class. It's too much here, but we teach that in our class. And this level 1, I thought we did pretty good. We really went after that and brought that down from consciousness. And we have our new God Worlds charts. If you guys have seen them, pretty charts of the God Worlds, and that's how you can have a better understanding of that. Or get Twitchell's work, books, Key to Secret Worlds, Tiger's Fangs, where he explains the different heavens, as Jesus talked about, the different rooms in my Father's mansion, the different states of consciousness as regarded into Buddhism and Hinduism, that sort of thing. Things that have been mapped out by the spiritual giants. Now that's fun too, and then looking at that. I think that things that pull me into more finiteness, I'm avoiding now, because my body just does not like finiteness. I don't want to be pulled there. I don't care about it. You can't explain there. You're more individualized there, like alkaloids and tannins and things like this, coumarins, and all the other active principles that are out there, which are being labeled every day. New active principles are being found in plants and given labels every day. So it's like this is a world of massiveness, but it's a world of deception too, because this is the chemical world of illusion, of duality. And it's simply the game. And this game can be played out on the scientific world. It can be played out in the worlds of housewives, in the worlds of factory workers. It's played out everywhere. It's still the game. So whole is always better than fractionalized, no matter what. And when you fractionalize, that's when you start seeing symptoms from that. Negative symptoms sometimes from that. But it's like estrogen or testosterone, we can give that back to you. Or you can take nitric oxide, insane stuff like that. So I get where you're coming here. Then I think it's accepted that masculine has a really nice parental relationship with no less than ephedrine. Well, yeah, I mean, of course you're going to find, I think, your masculine and female principles in chemistry. Oh, yeah. I look at acid and base as male and female. And then when you look at ephedrine or epinephrine or norepinephrine or dopamines or acetylcholines or anything, or your corticosteroids, you can look at them as male and female principles. But if you look at them as male and female principles, you'll find more female principles in the human body than male principles, using the acid as the male principle and the base as the female principle. Now, there's a lot of males that accumulate in the human body as byproducts, metabolitic waste and the like, and they become the problem if females are not being consumed to buffer them, and where the men have been consumed at a high rate, damaging in terms of proteins, damaging the eliminative organs and stuff, so the females now have a much harder way to go. You can get into chemistry and the feminine and the masculine, oh, absolutely. I love to do that myself. Your different elements. You've got your base elements, you've got your cal, meg, sodium, potassium, all your earthly elements. Those are generally base elements or anionic in nature. Still twerk my back. There's still a little twerk from the other day. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that because we're getting a lot of things for these people to listen to here. I'll tell you what I'll do, my friend. I'll look at this more, and then I'll go over this with you because I don't want to get too lost here with people. But thank you so much because I agree. But I don't have my head in isolates. I don't want to go there. But then again, I like good research, so it's that tug of war I have, you know what? You don't have to know everything about everything. It's impossible. And that could lock you into this world a little more than you would really like to. I wanted to find out what I can start with the fruit when I can start with the fruit. I am giving him banana and melon as juice, but he is on a standard formula. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, maybe this follows this one. Hello, Dr. Morse. Love your work. Love you too, Kim. A no doubt very simple question. However, I am new to this and want to get it right. It's okay with me. I have been eating just fruits and juicing for 2 weeks or so. Is there a limit to how much fruit can be consumed in a day, and can it be any fruit? Warm regards, Kim. I wanted to find out when I can start with the fruit. I am giving him banana. I don't know. Is this your son? I notice his little feet always feel damp, sweaty. Okay. Now, Kim, are you talking about your young lad there? Oh, it has to be, because I would love to get him off formula. I am not able to breastfeed. I am trying. Kim, we're within a week or two of having our infant formula. I highly recommend you try that. I have mainly fruits in there with some berries, some banana powder, some coconut powder, not much, because again, when you look at the composition of humans' mother's milk, it's shocking that it is so low in nutrition. And when you look at these baby formulas, where's the two I had? I guess I left them somewhere. They're disgusting. The lipid, the fat content is way too high for human infants. The protein, our protein and lipids, they don't care what mother's milk has in them. They care how the society views it. We don't think that way. I don't care how society views it. We want truth. We're tired of acidifying our babies and then having them killed with medicines or getting them inoculated and seeing that side of it. I mean, it's just so bad out there. It's not even funny. We have to turn things around. And we're doing it. I think we're doing a good job. I think all of you guys are so beautiful. You guys are doing such good jobs. I feel for this planet in a lot of ways. I don't know why I have that. But I'll say this, get him off. Unless you, I don't know where your breastfeeding is and everything, but as you get on fruits and stuff, you're going to detoxify your baby too. So if you're not breastfeeding, you're on the formula. These formulas are horrible. I had about 3 Honduran MDs in my office years ago. And this group cares. I quit donating to anybody like that. This group cares. Was down talking the Honduran woman out of breastfeeding and going to these formulas. What? Now, I will say that if you're on a high-protein diet as a female, wrong diet, and your breast milk is going to become acidic, and acids create more problems in babies' digestive tracts, colicky, and all kinds of mucus things like that. So, yeah, problems. But changing the diet of these ladies, then they'll have good milk for their babies. I'm not opposed to breastfeeding. Are you kidding? But I am in a woman that's highly acidic, and their lymph systems are bad, and they're just detoxifying their babies up. Not smart, because you're the one that pays the price, and then the poor baby, that soul, has to pay the price using that body. So you have to be real careful. Think about things out and beyond what our society has. All the children around us are raw babies, and every pediatrician is saying the same thing. Wow. Oh my God. Every one of them. We don't have babies that are not doing well on raw foods. We don't have them anywhere. If you've got one, we need to look at that and see what's going on with the baby. What genetics and things, because they respond. I've had the knitting procedures, kids with that, and everybody responds with fruits. All these babies respond well with fruits. I could tell you some stories. I just cried. I'm not going to tell you. Whew. These are bad stories of what they did with these babies. The medical profession, bad stories. When you tie the stomach around the esophagus so a baby can't throw up anymore and still pump them full of this high lipid, it becomes unreal. It becomes unreal anymore. Not good. This is a mad science at its very, very worst. Oh my God. So, I'd be real careful with that. Look at our formula. We'll have all the nutritive contents on it. It's going to be more than mother's milk, because you can't hardly find a food like that. It's hard to put together a formula for babies that is not high nutritionally for us. And that's a problem, because these babies, they're infants, and they're little adults. They can digest well and everything else. that everything has to be in its own vibrational frequency for infants, and we are frugivores. So, and another thing with these fruit diets on these babies, you're developing their brain and nervous system way out there. And that's what these babies need, because most of them have nerve rings. A lot of them are going into convulsions or seizures or ADD with a little thimerosal, whether they like to admit it or not. These are the babies particularly with the autonomic down, with the adrenals down and the nerve rings down. So by feeding your babies fruits, you're going to be building that. You're going to be strengthening those myelin sheaths. You're going to be turning on. Remember, the berries turn on the endocrine glands. How cool. So it's a world of coolness out there. I'm excited about that. And we have a pure berry blend and we have a pure fruit blend coming. It's due in probably another month. It's just berries, and another one is just fruit. So it'll be perfect if you want a little fruit taste in your water. Just a hydrate for babies. Fruit water, berry water to suck on. Good stuff. Or put it on your, whatever you want to put it on. I'm excited about some of our new formulas we have coming out. But this baby formula is just coming out for you. I wanted to find out when I can start with the fruit. I am giving him banana and melon as juice, but he is on a standard formula, HIPP organic formula. Yeah, I'll take a look at that and see what's in it and see those ratios. I think that's all good. I can tell you our experiences, and Jennifer's the one that's raised 2 babies raw, and she started feeding them fruit at 4 months. And we've had some women that had to get off of breastfeeding. They're so bad, and they're having so much trouble, and they went them on fruit at 4 months, and just the babies are just going better. So I think this idea, and you would want fruits with babies as opposed to meats. I've seen these men try to feed their infants meat. Are you kidding? I mean, you know, especially with an infant, you would want fruits, especially with an infant. You keep those kidneys open and running, you get them flushed, you turn on the nervous system, you ignite the endocrine glands. There are plenty of amino acids for muscles. Our babies don't grow like a calf, so we don't have to have that much amino acids or proteins in the milk, and obviously they're not, because it's less than 1% protein in humans' mother's milk and 16% in cow's milk. That's a huge acidic difference. So, if you could find a good formula, and I love our formula, there's nothing in it. And we tasted these formulas ourselves. They leave a sticky, gluey, lipid taste in your mouth. Horrible. Ours leaves a clean, fresh taste. Big difference. Taste the difference, guys. Taste the difference. You adults taste the difference of what you're giving those babies in these canned foods. Canned! Oh, man. And these are our little babies. Terrible. Beatrice Morse, huh? M-O-R-R-S. A question came to mind to ask if Dr. Morse has explained or can explain the body's elimination process, and if there is a specific time when you should not consume food for the elimination process to complete its course. You know, Beatrice, I do like that question. You bring up a really good little question there in regard. In terms of the first part of that, we've covered that probably on a lot of videos about the elimination in the human body. When you stop and look at the current thought, and this current thought of allopathy is filtered over into massage therapy, unfortunately, and probably in Southwest and Bashir too, is that the body systemically dumps its systemic metabolitic waste into the venous system. Well, I've told you before that we have a lot of college professors that even teach allopathy, and they've had some serious questions in that regard. Now that they're finding the lymphatic system more, now their answers to that is coming to light. Now they're seeing that there is elimination channels for this. Now remember I said on the last video that they are now transplanted the first penis and that the surgeon said there's a lot of lymphatic considerations. This is a tough surgery. I respected that guy, and I thought, you know what? That's smart surgeon, because you have to have this gigantic lymphatic system, even though little understood allopathically. We understand it considerably. And when you look at the skin and you look at the kidneys and you ask these, and you look at this, these are eliminative organs. What is the elimination through the skin and kidneys for? And what in the body has to be eliminated? Well, when you consume chemistry, that chemistry has to be utilized, at least whatever the body can, depending upon what? Digestion, absorption, utilization. Right. So to get to this elimination, you have to have these first three working well. So when the body uses or doesn't use something, it's like a vampire, sucking out the juice and spitting away the body. These bodies are generally the acid components. All the electrolytes and all the energy factors have been eliminated, whatever specific individual energy factor that was for. I mean, there's just way too much individuality in these levels of atomic levels and subatomic levels. There's just too much we have no idea. So that's serious. So it's enough to say that there is a whole process of oxidation, ionization, methylation, crib cycles. There's all kinds of cycles and just all types of factors and cofactors. The fact that science is beginning to map some of them out, get quite intellectual on you. I was looking at some of the pathways the other day and said, you know what? I don't need this in my life anymore. Because I don't need to spend my life in my mind anymore. I'm quite content where I'm at. And I don't want to be pulled into this world more. I want to be pulled away from it. Because all we have to do is give you the truth and those things that work. And work them. They work well. You find your remedy. Open yourself spiritually. Become conscious. And you've got your mix. You've got your perfect mix. And that's all we're about. We're only about simplicity and getting people back on the road of true healing and health, and we're about waking people up spiritually. That's it. I have no agenda, no other reason. I was brought here for this. You know that by now. I've been educated to that. I've been sent through different cycles on the inner worlds. I've been, so I don't know what to say about that. But I do like the other part of this question. Food for the elimination process is complete. Let's say specific time when you should not consume food. I do like smaller meals more often. I really do. I think that's better. The least you can tax your digestive system and things like that, the better off you'll be. So I like smaller meals more often. I think, though, that get a good night's sleep without food in your belly. I think eating and going to sleep with food in your belly is not a good way to do that. And I personally think that the last food that sees your belly before you go to bed should be fruit. The simplest, the easiest to metabolize, digest, eliminate, all of those things. That's just my own personal opinion. So if you're going to do the salads, I think in the middle of the day is a better time. But then when you start thinking about detoxification, it's kind of... fruit is aggressive detoxifiers. Vegetables are slow. So you're going fast in the morning, slow at lunch, fast at night. I like more fast pace. But with that said, the simplest meal should be at night and also in the morning. When you're waking up in the morning, there's one system that you see everywhere in most people, and it's not the blood. It's the lymphatic system, the mucus in the eyes, the coated tongues, the foggy brain, the kidneys have to pee. That's when you have the tendency to see more sediment is in the morning. So this is all you need to break the fast from the night before. That's why breakfast is called that. It's breaking the fast from the night before. And you always break a fast, always, 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 with fruits. Always. Something that's gentle, easy for the body to deal with, high energy, all of that just makes common sense, don't it? Absolutely. Because when you start fasting, your body starts shoving all the complex chemistry, all the proteins out. It doesn't want them. And so that's what you're seeing in your urine and things like that, different proteins. in the human body. And some proteins they think is natural is not. You know, a foreign protein in medical dictionary is a protein out of harmony. That puts a lot of proteins at risk because meat protein is out of harmony with the Homo sapien. The dairy is out of harmony with the Homo sapien. So there's a lot of foods that their proteins are out of harmony with the Homo sapien because they're designed for other vertebrates. So then we get the kick from them. But we haven't got through wallowing in the dirt with our heads and our minds. So we need to pull it up and accept the beauty that humans are. Humans were designed to become a beautiful species. I don't know. Good questions. Good questions, guys. Good questions. Edith. Hey, Edith. I've been following your protocol, fruits mostly, and veggie salads as well. Good. I literally have the cleanest diet, most raw, vegan, and fruits, but I do not see a difference in my hair loss. You know what? I'd use upper circulation. Get yourself away from the vegetables a little bit and get into some higher detoxifications. Look at the GI tract. I mean, get on the 14-week protocol or get something like that to where you're going after the kidneys, you're going after the adrenals. Pull your eyes. Take a look at your lymphatic system. Get your GI tract cleaned up and get these sinuses moving. Get this head cleaned out. Because if you're not getting up there lymphatically, it's possible to be on a good clean diet and still see hair loss. Or, worse, still have a pituitary tumor up there and you're not having any changes. If you can put a screeching halt on its growth, good. But we want to start reversing it. And that is all about getting those channels opened. So just eating raw has never been just enough in some of these more chronic level cases. But I would do upper circulation and brain and nerve to go after my hair, particularly upper circulation. Help that blood to get more aggressively moves through some of those denser areas of lymph swelling. At the same time, try to get you hydrated up here. Candle the ears. 3 candles per ear. Try to get chew on horseradish root or something. You know, get some things moving. But what really gets things moving in chemistry is the base or alkaline side. That is the hydrating anionic side of life in chemistry. And that creates a fluidity to stagnation, which is, believe it or not, the cationic side. Hard to associate catabolism and cationic with coagulation and agglomeration. But in fact, that's the end result of that. But I would go after that with that. I have 80%, oh crap, I have 80% gone on my scalp. I don't like that at all. So I would do an upper circulation at least 3 times a day. Even if you dipped a dropper and a half, go after that. That's my magic for getting hair growth, is the upper circulation and brain and nerve forms. But you also got to move the lymph upstairs. You got to move why you're losing that hair. And when you're losing or things are breaking down, which side of chemistry are you on? You're not on the female side, base side, you're on the acid male side. And whether you are eating a clean diet, that's okay. That's how you do it. But you have to take it another step. Start digging in and cleaning now. And you get rid of the vegetables when you do that. Start getting up in here. And you'll detoxify in the lower body, but keep going till you have a cold and flu-like symptom. Your sinuses are running, stuff like that. That's when you start to see hair color and hair changes. Absolutely. But hair loss, you want to stop this. I'm very serious with that, and I'm very adamant about that, because that'll just build Alzheimer's or dementia in your future. Well, you don't want that, or a tumor or something like that. This is serious stuff. And it's just, you can get it, but use that upper circulation. It really will help you a lot there. I know you mentioned that hair loss is pretty easy to cure, but for me it's been a nightmare to cure. I bet. Well, take a look at your eyes, pull your eyes, and take a look at your bowels, and particularly that transverse bowel. Take a look at what's going up here in the sinuses and head area. See what you're up against. Because I can give you generalities, and we see different people doing different things. There was one lady, I think she even put it on YouTube, where she was balding and now it's all back. You see a lot of that. But everybody is also individual, and you have to realize that. Some of you guys are going to work a lot harder at getting your remedy than others. Some are just super focused. They've suffered so much, they're just super focused. They're like Hildy, she's super focused. Well, she wins the day. So when you're super focused, that's when you win. And you just get super focused, you get that done, you walk out, you go, did it, done. I've got a good life now, my body's pretty good shape, and I don't have to worry what's coming in terms of that sort of thing. I hope this plant doesn't get to the point where it eliminates all herbs and all fruits and stuff, and then we're back to the little pill again. Remember that? What is it, Soylent Green or something like that? That was a movie a long time ago where they discovered what they were doing. People that were dying, humans that were dying, they were just grinding them up and making little green pills out of them and feeding them back to the populace for nutrition. Soylent Green, something like that. So that's what I want you to look at, and I bet it is a nightmare. I've been on the diet for months and still nothing. Get on that upper circulation, honey. Get in the herbs. Get the herbs to work, because diet alone, I probably agree with you, and that's kind of why I got into the herbs, to be honest with you. I just didn't think diet was enough to do it anymore, and that was way back. I got into herbs. Matter of fact, I had the health food stores in the early 70s, and I didn't know that much about them, but I just had this thing. I just had to have all these herbs. I had to have all these herbs. So I built shelves behind my counter where I had the cash register and all that, and I had 300 different herbs. I used Penn Herb Company. I used a lot of herb companies. I had herbs to smoke. I had all kinds of herbs. So I had this little 9-year-old, and he came in about once a week, and he'd always find a book to buy, but he also would go up to an herb and he says, "What's that herb?" I said, "Well, that's comfrey." He says, "What's that good for?" I said, "Well, I hear it's called knit bone. It's good for the bones. It helps to regenerate the bone system and stuff like that. It's highly nutritive and stuff, high in calcium." "Oh, I'll take a little." So I'd get him a little, maybe an ounce or something. He'd go home and try it, read about it, study it. A 9-year-old. His father and mother must have been something else. This guy was so intellectual at 9 years old, as smart as a whip. But I was proud of him. Every day, or every few days or a week, he'd come in, pick another herb. And I thought, wow, isn't that neat? That's really neat. So that's the sort of thing I'm excited about with you younger guys and gals, is learning herbology and just dispelling these myths that are out there that herbs are bad and stuff like that. They are beautiful and they're our saviors. And for someone to do that just shows extreme ignorance, as far as I'm concerned, because I've used them by the gallons. I am the premier herb user in the world. Nobody uses the herbs at the level I do on one person. And I've had everybody experiment with them that way too. Remember, I've had little Shania Twain doing 23-4. I didn't give them to her. She took them. And she says, "I feel really good at these levels." And so I've had this over and over and over again. So it's not that I promote that, but if people want to go out on their own and they try these, well, this gives us feedback. And so if the tannins and things are that bad, people would have a lot more trouble. I would see liver enzymes going crazy in their blood works and everything else. I will say this. The lymphatic fives are definitely the hardest hit with alkaloids. Our lymphatic fives are bloods and pokes, and these are strong alkaloids, no question about them. But they're also tumor busters, and it is night and day to have a formula with them or without them. It's a night and day how the formula performs, particularly poke root. When I first took the poke root for the FDA out of my lymphatic 1, it changed its nature and its ability to be as good as it is, and I said, didn't have some kind words with that. I'm putting it back because it's not toxic. And it's only people that use things wrong. And I use things at totally the proper dosages and everything else, and we never have any trouble. And we're all on the fruits and the berries. We're all these buffers. We're all good. And I tell you, all we get is regeneration. But there are people out there that go over the top. No question. But keep at it, dear one, and go right. Upper circulation, vital to your hair growth. Get blood and lymph. Even though I talk about lymph mostly, I'm a blood person too. But blood is a victim of lymph. And it's also a victim of whoever's lifting that hand to mouth. That's the problem with that. Oh, Sim. Hi, Sim. Dear Mr. Morse, thanks for all you've done for suffering people. You're welcome. I love to help suffering people. Oh, look at this. I'm 25 years young, and last year I took Accutane. Oh my God, man. Since that, I started becoming sad for no reasons, but not depressed. Then I made intellectual and physical efforts during 2 months to enter a big school. I was under a chronic stress, and one day severe and chronic insomnia appeared. My body doesn't feel drowsiness anymore and could stay awake several days without sleeping at least 1 minute. Since I'm under antidepressants. Oh my God. Oh, Sim. You're 25 years, so at least you can control what you're doing to yourself. So, this Accutane, is it still available? I can't imagine it still being available. But we had a YouTuber kill himself over it. He couldn't stand it anymore. He was unhappy. He was sad. He felt like glass was cutting him all through his body. So we manufacture something like that and put something like that out there. If I manufactured an herbal formula like that, and because the FDA approved it, I mean, oh my God. I mean, I don't know where this planet comes off at. This is just sad stuff to me to see the level this planet is. Sad stuff. Oh man. So, suggestion. Well, tendency of these antidepressants and things to have the same effect that you're treating them for, or using them for, I would totally change my idea, my friend. I would go in and totally rejuvenate myself with fruits, berries, and melons. I would get in, I do a glandular for my pineal gland. This is probably a genetics you got in there, and you're seeing that. You might have to think about the pituitary again. You want to get off of this stuff. Obviously, you have skin problems. So then that tells me, obviously, you have kidney and adrenal problems, which is obviously lymphatic problems. So you have to go, as we teach it on here, Sim, get your butt in gear. Get on this raw diet and start going after your kidneys, adrenals, clean up your gut, and get your head drained out of there. I also suggest that you probably do have a pituitary link to this with the pineal gland and obviously some parathyroid. So you want to take a look at that. You want to take a look at parathyroid gland, get away from that, get the fungus out of the body. They can be very depressing. So get on a good detox kit. Get on the first 2 weeks and then go from there. But get on those first 2 weeks. You can back yourself up with a pineal glandular. A pineal glandular, I recommend 1 or 2 caps, 1 or 2 hours BS before sleep. In terms of parathyroid, I recommend one work on the pituitary with that. On an herbal side, maybe sticking a parathyroid glandular 50 milligrams. I think I would do 1 3 times a day. Unless I'm really down, then I would do 2. And I'd hitchhike that with either our superfood blend or a bones formula, high in calcium. And really start wakening everything up. Go after your adrenal glands big time. Start wakening everything up. Wake up your emotions. Wake up everything. Turn everything back on again. Because everything they're getting you is depressing you. Even though they call it they are depressants. And they're just taking you down and down and down, Sim. Don't let them do that. You're better than that. Grab a hold of your world. Grab a hold of your life. Learn how to detoxify yourself and clean yourself. There have been plenty of people do it on this channel. You get in there and you do that. If you need help, you can call in. Appointment is only, $80, $90 or something. I mean, it's not bad to talk to someone, get your feet on the path, have me write you a protocol. That's another way. There's so many ways you can get help with us. There's the Artie group. There's the lifefigs.com and all your questions there. So there's a lot of places you can go, and there's a lot of our friends on this YouTube channel dying to help you and help people. And so we just have to give you the sites, and we're going to put them up more and more so you can see these sites. I asked Chris to get all these sites up on the channel so you guys can go to these people and get help. You can call the clinic. But don't be alone in the woods. Don't have to be. We're here. You have to be alone. Teslim. Wow. Male pattern baldness. Oh, look at this. Another thing here. You know, you could have, looks like genetics in balding, but really, that's just the weakness of cells. Genetics only come into the weakness of cells. And those cells that are weak, they're going. And if you're highly acidic, the problem is, just like your dad or whoever, you have the same, you have these genes, and most of them are lymphatically compromising. So when you look at hair, it should be natural and beautiful. What changes it? Even me, acids. So you just have to look at that. The acid side of chemistry. You can always base your conclusion on 2 sides of chemistry when you understand that chemistry rules everything here. It's not consciousness, it's chemistry that rules everything and its individual states of consciousness. So, I mean, we can get into that and each state of consciousness of each mineral. No one can know that. I mean, we have friends that are shaman that are working with the elemental masters and working with the spiritual beings that work with, more the elements and plants. And so there's a much greater awareness there, but still, you're talking about levels that freak people out, too. I have to admit there's a lot of this that are high and just hard for some people to cope with the massiveness of information in the God worlds. Massive. You think this planet is massive? Oh. But the same thing applies. Use upper circuit, brain, and nerve. I like using those together because the brain and nerve form enhances the brain. And if you have male pattern baldness, you have an acid brain and an acid scalp. And nothing good comes of that. From vision problems to hearing problems to olfactory problems, smell, and all these other problems. Dementia, Alzheimer's, can't remember, can't think. I mean, this is big time serious. So you're going after your body, but this is a little far away from the kidneys than, let's say, the prostate or the ovaries or the bowels. So it'll take you a little longer to get up in here and get all these lymph pathways opened up and get the body turned on again. But you can do it. And like I say, use upper circ, brain and nerve, get on your lymphatic formulas, your kidney formulas, and really show the world how you do it. Because people from all around the world are getting their hair back. And if you're not, you want to take a look at that. What are you doing? Not getting up there enough? Are you not detoxifying deep enough? What are you doing in your world? Eating fresh fruits, berries, and melons. Some people have got their hair back with that, but not as much as when they take the herbs. All right. Men and women too. There's no gender. This is a human body. My question is, what do you think about the theory that genetic baldness is caused by dihydrotesterone, a male hormone, testosterone? Not for a second do I think that. Also, you mentioned growing hair on bowling balls. Well, how many of them reverted to a full head of hair? Oh yeah, and not just a few. Oh yeah, not just a few sprouts. Oh yeah. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. Next time we get someone in, I'll bring them and put them on the camera. I'll bring them down here and I love to do that anyway. I'll bring them and put them on the camera, and that way you can see testimonials from the people that have done that. So what I'll do is, when I have a case like that, or I'll talk to Marcy and them, we'll put them up for you. And we'll have them tell the story. That way you'll have it right from the horse's mouth. I ran a radio show for a number of years down here, and I got, when you're doing a radio show every week, you run out of material because it just, you get too intellectual, you lose the crowd. So I just put my clients on. I just put them on, and the stories were like, oh my God, but that works. So I'll be happy to do that, and especially with this for you, okay? You don't revert back if you get your it's just like a tumor. You don't grow a tumor back if you fix your lymph system, you get your hair, you don't lose it. But you can get so acidic, not only do you the hair on the head, but you lose your eyebrows, underarm hair. Some people can't grow hair on the legs. Yeah, big issue. Now, is there a growth factor involved here? Maybe pituitary? Maybe. You want to take a look at that, because when we go after the human body, I go after it as a whole unit. I don't just go here, I just want hair growth. I'm going after why. What makes you lose cells? Because look at everything as cells, and then the two fluids that service them. So what about the two fluids affecting hair follicles and the hair cells? Because all the body is fluids and cells. So when you look at that and keep it simple, then it becomes quite apparent. Then what side of chemistry could the fluid be in that's taking care of my hair loss? You come back to the same deduction every time, though. How long did it take to see sprouts of new hair? That's a good question. God, I can't tell you. I would say definitely within 3 months, easy. You might ask that on one of these channels, because there's a lot of you guys out there I know have grown hair. You've talked to me about it, showed me pictures, and you might want to address this yourselves, because I haven't seen anybody in a while, so I don't keep a track of those sort of things. People come in all the time to the pharmacy down here, and they're always talking about that. I can see people that their hair is turning color again, and we laugh about that. But if you want time frames and stuff, let me get them on the camera for you. But there's plenty out there. You can talk to them over the some of these live fig, isn't it? Raw fig or livefig.com. That was a new one. I didn't know we had one there. And then you've got the Artie groups. You've got moveyourlymph.com. I think that's been moved. So hopefully you'll get a bunch of these sites you can go on and talk to people. Because really that's about the best way we can have support groups. I used to have a support group in the clinic because of all the serious cases and stuff, but you know, it's just a lot of work. It's just sometimes you work out. You get tired of just so much work. But it's enough to say there's so much need out there and so much help that we can offer that having these groups out there are very important for our people to be able to talk amongst each other and share your ups and downs. Because we have downs. We're not a perfect site. We have our downs. Getting well isn't always a road upwards. There can be hell to pay. Some people push their worlds a little too far, and you can't expect everything to be hunky-dory on your road back. Not on your life. So there's ups and downs on this. And you can't judge it by the downs because there's always ups and downs on things. It's not the downs that the pharmaceuticals give you, though. These downs can flat kill you. So we don't do anything like that. So, look at that and see what we do on that. This is Bob. Hey, Bob. My grandfather's name was Bob. I've been watching the YouTube and learned a lot. Oh, thanks. I quit smoking a month ago. 1,000 thumbs up. Wish you would get a hold of my sister. She has a major addiction and she's in major denial. That's good. I quit smoking a month ago. I'm so proud of you, Bob. That is so cool. You need. This is a big cyber hug for Bob. Cyber hug for Bob. Good job, my man. But I'm still having severe breathing problems, and I think it might be fungal. All right. It could be fungal, but it's probably neurological, man. That's the problem. This comes out of it because as you get up into that smoking, you start creating asthma and COPD, emphysema, COPDs. So what is happening is there's some neurotoxicity of smoking, and so now you're shutting down the adrenals, of course, and the kidneys, all the acids in it. And so real serious stuff here. I would take brain and nerve, number 2. I would personally hit my adrenal glands for at least a month and a half with, if your blood pressure isn't too high, with adrenal 400 glandular. And then I would switch from that in about a month and a half. If my blood pressure is normal or a little low, I would go to hitchhiking. I would do an adrenal herbal formula, hitchhike licorice. But you've got to get your adrenal glands up and producing more neurotransmitters, or you're going to be struggling to take a deep breath and take a deep breath. So there's going to be a time where you're going to get all the mucus out, and that's not going to be pleasant either. All the black stuff will come out. It will. All the stuff if you've been smoking for years. But now you have a neurological component to breathing. So you want to go after that nervous system. I wouldn't overtax myself. I would definitely relax more. I would push myself with deep breathing. Remember, breathe down here at the abdominal area first. Don't thoracically breathe. Abdominally breathe, right? Work on that, but get those neurotransmitters up. That's hitting the adrenal glands and working with brain and nerve formulas. Be very, very helpful. At the same time, you're going to remove acidosis, all the nicotine stored in the lymph system, all this stuff that's getting you a blowback, and you'll be okay. Okay, but my sister's the same way. She's going to push this to the very end, and you just... it's dangerous because of breathing. Because when you stop and you're used to stimulants of breathing and coffee and everything else, or your nicotines and stuff for breathing and your coffees and stuff, when you stop those, it can be tough. It can be tough. You've stimulated one's butt off, and then suddenly you just dropped it. It'd be just like the young man that fell out of the sky. You just fell. Your chute didn't open, no support. And that's the problem of overusing stimulants. The crash can be real hard. And that's why you have to support yourself with glandulars and other things during this process, because you have to support the adrenals and neurotransmitters, or you could get real tough breathing problems and then go into a pneumonia type symptom. Remember, oh, that guy's got a big watermelon. Damn. But remember that when you go into these, breathing is essential. Better to go a little slower if you have serious COPD, because there's nothing fun about this, Bob. I can't afford the full 2-week kit. Don't worry about the 2-week kit. Get the adrenal formula. You might want to do a kidney there. Do the brain and nerve formula number 2. I would. If you want to do circulation to move blood aggressively through the lungs, I wouldn't use upper, I'd use lower. Few things like that. Do the Fab4 where you at least hitchhike a kidney and a lymphatic formula with that. You can do those things as you get up there, and you can afford to add lungs 2 to this, or get the 3 lung tea and start sipping on it. That'll start breaking up hardened sputum. Now that's a little different than neurotransmitters. You want to get up those neurotransmitters to breathing. That's going to be your adrenal glands. If you fear fungus, go out to Parasite M and take about 2 dropperfuls 4 times a day. You'll feel the difference in about a week to 2 weeks. But I'd really like to take something to help me safe as I change my diet. So drastically, you're right to think about that, Bob. And for you guys working with others, there's a lot of Bobs out here that can push smoking and things like that a little too far, and they're struggling to breathe. And sometimes a little more since they come off of smoking, because you notice you smokers breathe a little better when you start smoking. When you stop, then it becomes hard again. That's stimulants. And that's a world that you don't want, because you get so locked in that world, you have to creep out of it. And I've told you cases that you have to creep out of these things, like a little spoonful of applesauce is all you can take down if you don't throw that up. So, when you get your body get into these dark, dark places of hell, you've got to have somebody that knows how to work you out of them. And that's why all these beautiful people on this channel are so good at learning this and working with themselves and others. It's an art to detoxify people. It really is. You can't just go full bore with some of these people like Bob and stuff. You just push and go and elevate and enhance. You don't suppress anymore, and you build strength. I had my gallbladder out years ago. They rushed surgery saying I had a pancreatitis, but they just take your gallbladder while they were in there. Why would they go in there with pancreatitis? After losing a lot of weight by a healthy-ish diet, after the surgery, I fell back to old ways. I don't want to die before I'm 40. Well, Bob, don't. If you don't want to die before you're 40, learn all that we teach here, because I'll tell you, everything we teach here is truth. We've been so many years in clinicals, and Marcy's proving it now with all her years here. Tilla's proven it. We've proven it. It's just you guys have proven it. Take care of yourselves. We're here for you, each and every one of you. We have YouTubers are here for you. All you spiritual guys are waking up. I know you want to give. So there's a lot of help here. And just hang in there. Go slower sometimes. But Bob, you got to figure out how you can get this and get this done right. If you have a hard time, maybe we can set up a financial site where people can go to that site and see if there's any help for them. We can maybe tie in whatever herbs we have here to that site, and maybe work with others on that site. That would be fun. For someone that has a little funds that want to set up a site like that and have people, fill out applications for that. We do. We are limited. People don't donate much to us. We have one lady that donates $100 a month. That doesn't buy anything, but it's still enough to help people. And we have herbs that come back, or we have herbs that people get ridiculous on. We give those away. Sometimes boxes come in broken and they just have herbs on the labels. We give those away. Nothing wrong with the herbs inside. So, there's a lot of good ways to get healthy and have some help. And I think our site should be a good site of health and love. Let me just read one more here, because I have to get going here and get my lower back out of this chair. I'm not much for sitting. 3 months ago, I went to an ophthalmologist in Barcelona to remove the brown pigment on my iris. What? Because I wanted to have blue eyes. What? Now that all the pigment on my eye is removed, I am more light sensitive and feel pressure on my eyes. What can I do about it? Wow. 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 I don't know what to say about it. If you had brown eyes, and they were supposed to, if you have blue eyes and they were brown, you should have just detoxified yourself. To have an ophthalmologist do something like that, I didn't even know that could be done. That's scary. I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to tell you to get your body healthy and let your pigmentation be your pigmentation, whatever that is. Because that's serious. Not all brown eyes are blue. You know, there's true brown eyes out there all over the place. But if your eyes are blue and they're brown, that's problematic. That's chronic stuff. So, boy, I don't know. But see how that pigmentation buffers the sun radiation? That's why it depends where you live to what skin color you have and all that. So it's why you see islanders more black than you do than the whites in the northern climates. But we had dark skin at one time. So it's like, okay, big deal. But it really just shows you how the body adapts to the environmental influences on health as well. But to have this done like that, oh my God, I'm shocked that you did that. And sometimes those the brown pigment on the iris, I don't know, that could have been a sore spot or something else. So I tell you what I'd like, a picture of your eyes before and after. If you really, and mark it to that I requested it. But I want to see a picture of your eyes afterwards. At least you can get that. And boy, I'd like to see one before if you had one before. Oh my God. And then I'll give you more information on that. But wow, you don't need to go in and have things done like that. You could have just got some blue contacts or something, Messing with the eyes like that. That's scary, man. Messing with your eyes. You can see, that was pretty good on Dancing with the Stars. The deaf guy won. He's good looking too. And he's a good dancer. Man, he won. That was exciting. I was glad to see that. But be real careful. Be real careful what you ask for. Because the effect of what you ask for might not truly be what you're looking for. Sometimes you must accept yourself for yourself. If you don't like the shape or design of your body, redesign it. And it will redesign with the proper raw fruits, berries, and melons, and your herbs. You can regenerate, realign, re-straighten the body in gorgeous ways. Scar tissue takes some time, can be chewed up, so all things can start looking better, including skin. I remember once there was this... there was a lady that had breast cancer and she didn't have it anymore doing our program. So I think I had ABC and or Fox News in the office at the time. And here's this little old lady. She's almost 80 years old and her face was wrinkled like a clown. Just wrinkled bad. I forget how many months she was doing this. Maybe 4 months or something. No wrinkles. So the cameras were in there and talking to this lady that had no breast cancer anymore and these things. And this says, well, look at where I used to be and look at my face now. And she took at least 20 years off her look. She looked firm, toned. She had one little wrinkle that made it look like that clown on Gotham, Batman. And then that went away. It was funny to watch the changes of the elasticity, strengthening of the skin, the connective tissue. And they went, what? And they got her story too. So it's just a beautiful world to see what you can do with the foods of God and the herbs of God. It's beautiful what you can see. And we don't have to go way out of balance. Pull ourselves back to our spirituality. Get yourself free from this rock and enjoy the rock, but don't get attached to it. Quit desiring things on it. There's so many boat rides you can take, airplane rides you can do, and so many things you can do. Yeah, there's a lot more fun in higher levels, let me tell you. Well, with great love to you guys. I love you bunches, and thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you that strap this on and write it. It's just does my heart good to see all you feeling good again and not suffering. And from some of you that are suffering, get with it, get on it. And be careful about doing bizarre things like that. Having your brown sucked out of your eye. That's a little bizarre for me. So be careful. Okay? Love you guys. Namaste.